Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this, because right now, millions of devotees and environmentalists alike are staring at a massive, literally unprecedented anomaly up in the Himalayas. You see, for the millions of Hindu devotees who prepare all year for the grueling and deeply sacred Amarnath Yatra, 2026 brought a truly shocking headline. The Baba Barfani, that's the natural ice lingam revered across the globe, well, it vanished almost as soon as the pilgrimage began. And guys, this isn't just a spiritual disappointment. It's a glaring, absolutely massive environmental alarm bell, and it's ringing from 12,756 feet above sea level.
So naturally, it begs the question, right? Is this rapid melting a sign of divine wrath, an undeniable symptom of global climate change, or maybe the direct result of human overcrowding and really rapid infrastructure development? Today, we're going to look past the panic and the sensational headlines to objectively examine the facts, the science, and the local administration's response to understand exactly what is happening inside that sacred cave. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at the 5-day melt, the science behind the ice lingam's creation, global warming in the Himalayas, the impact of overcrowding and development, the political reactions to the crisis, and finally, what this means for our future.
All right, let's start with part 1, the ice lingam melting in just 5 days.
Picture this. The 57-day Holy Amarnath Yatra officially kicks off on July 3, 2026. Devotees fully expect the lingam to be there for the vast majority of that window. But instead, just 5 to 7 days in, reports and photographs from the very first batches of pilgrims confirmed that a staggering 90% of the sacred ice lingam had already melted away. Pilgrims from Indore actually spoke to the media, pointing out that by just the 4th day of their trek, the lingam was already surprisingly small. And while the Sri Amarnath Shrine Board hasn't released an official scientific assessment just yet, the visual evidence coming from journalists and devotees on the ground is totally undeniable.
And here's the thing, 2026 isn't just some isolated freak incident. It's the culmination of a really terrifying trend. Historically, you'd expect the ice lingam to grant darshan, or viewing, for a solid 40 to 45 days. But look at these numbers. In 2018, it lasted 29 days. 2020, 38 days. 2022, 28 days. But then, we see this incredibly steep drop-off. In 2024, it melted within a week. And now, in 2026, it's essentially gone in 5 days. I mean, the acceleration of this melting rate is undeniable.
Moving on to part 2, the science behind the ice lingam's creation.
To really understand why it's disappearing so fast, we need to understand how it forms in the first place, which is this breathtaking intersection of faith and geology. Geologically speaking, the ice lingam is a stalagmite. That's a column rising from the floor of a cave, formed by dripping water. And according to research published by the Geological Society of London by D. Chandrasekharahan, and he's a geologist at IIT Bombay, this structure is incredibly, almost perfectly, sensitive to its environment.
So, how does this actually happen? It's a brilliant 3-step geological process. Step 1, the snow on top of the Amarnath cave slowly melts. Step 2, that meltwater seeped down through very specific limestone and gypsum rock fractures in the cave roof. And step 3, as the water drips onto the cave floor, the sub-zero temperatures inside cause it to freeze instantly. Over time, those frozen drops build up, delicate layer by delicate layer, from the bottom up, forming the vertical pillar we all know as the ice lingam. It's this incredibly precise equilibrium that is entirely dependent on sustained freezing temperatures. Which brings us to part 3, global warming and the Himalayas. Because the lingam absolutely requires those sub-zero temperatures to survive, any shift in the climate is catastrophic for it. Scientists and environmentalists have been warning us for years now that the Himalayan mountains are warming at a significantly faster rate compared to other mountain ranges across the globe. We're seeing rising temperatures across Jammu and Kashmir, drastically altered snowfall patterns, and rapidly retreating glaciers. So when the ambient temperature around the Amarnath cave goes up even slightly, or when the humidity inside the cave changes, it directly attacks that delicate freezing process we literally just talked about.
Let's dive into part 4, overcrowding and development.
It's important to remember this isn't just a macro-level climate issue. We have to look at what's happening right at the cave's doorstep. And there is a glaring contrast here between the rules and reality. To protect the environment and pilgrim safety, the Supreme Court mandated a strict limit of 10,000 pilgrims per day. However, in 2026, actually scratch that, the ground reality didn't just ignore that limit, it shattered it. In just the first 5 days, over 1.13 lakh people had already visited. That averages out to roughly 22,600 people per day, more than double the legal limit. Think about it, every single human body emits heat. Packing tens of thousands of warm bodies into a confined, highly sensitive ice cave drastically spikes the local temperature.
And then you have to add the massive surge in local infrastructure over the last 2 decades. Roads have been widened using heavy JCB machinery. Community kitchens, the langars, they've been relocated closer to the cave. There's even a proposed tunnel between Shesnag and Panchtarni. Furthermore, Congress spokesperson Ashwani Honda has actively requested the lieutenant governor to order an independent scientific study on newly constructed rain shelters near the cave, because he suspects they might literally be trapping heat and raising local temperatures. All of this concrete, the heavy machinery, the construction, it fundamentally destroys the cave's microclimate.
So, part 5. How are political leaders reacting to all of this?
With the crisis this visible, political leaders across Jammu and Kashmir have naturally weighed in, and they're offering very different perspectives on who or what is to blame. On one side, you have People's Democratic Party leader Iltija Mufti. She took to social media to express deep concern, explicitly stating, "Environment has become a victim in Kashmir's politics." She points directly to illegal mining, deforestation, and unnecessary construction projects, like proposed ropeways, as the culprits destroying the region's ecology. Her stance is crystal clear. Protecting the sanctity and the environment of the cave has to take precedence over accommodating record-breaking numbers of pilgrims.
Conversely, we have the administrative perspective. Chief Minister Omar Abdullah responded by emphasizing that the Shrine Board is, in fact, strictly following Supreme Court mandates regarding limits. But when it comes to the rapid melting itself, his view leans heavily on faith. He stated that the melting of the shivling is God's will. He expressed that whether it stays for 6 days or 40, it is ultimately just out of human hands to control.
And, we really must acknowledge that from an administrative side, managing this event is an unbelievably complex task. Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha highlighted the phenomenal medical and security infrastructure they've had to put in place, including a 200-bed hospital, especially in the wake of the tragic 2025 terror attack in Pahalgam. And the devotion of the people remains totally unshaken. I mean, the first 4 days alone saw 93,000 visitors. There was even a viral video showcasing a woman with artificial legs bravely trekking the incredibly steep Baltal route with poles. The faith driving these numbers is absolutely breathtaking, but managing it without proper registration is becoming a severe administrative headache.
Finally, part 6. A future only if nature is saved.
We've looked at the timeline, the geology, the climate data, and the human impact. Experts are warning us that if this rapid melting continues, future devotees might arrive after these grueling treks to find nothing but an empty cave. Faith and ecology are intrinsically linked here. The faster the lingam melts, the higher the temperature is risen. Protecting the lingam inherently means protecting the environment from overdevelopment and pollution. If we ignore this, we aren't just losing a sacred ice structure. It's a stark, blinking warning sign about our broader ecological survival. The shivling is melting fast. If we don't change our ways, will our own environment melt away next? Think about that for a second and really let the sheer scale of this environmental shift sink in. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what's happening around us.